is Caitlin Canavan O'Driscoll. I am a third year business and law student here in UCD. Well, there was a huge amount of factors that inspired me to come to UCD. First of all, I just felt like I wanted to come somewhere where I could be a little bit anonymous. I'm from West Cork and I come from a very small village, and that was one of the really big appeals to me. I found out that UCD was, I think, the biggest college in Ireland. So I thought then, I'll blend in perfectly. And then I started looking at the courses on offer, and it was then that I realised, just the variety. Because when I was in school, I didn't actually know what I wanted to do. I was torn between medicine and going down the law route, going down the business route. I had a whole different bunch of things in my head, and then it was actually COVID that helped me make up my mind. So it was turned me off medicine altogether and put me towards, I want to work with paper as opposed to people. So there were a fair few challenges. Even before I moved, trying to find accommodation was tough. I'm obviously not from Dublin, so that was immensely difficult, but I was fortunate enough to get in digs with people that I know. But the first accommodation I was in wasn't suitable at all. It wasn't very clean, and it was a lot of mold in the house, but it was all that I could afford. My parents couldn't contribute any money to me coming to college, and I could only live off my own savings, and I was on minimum wage at home in Cork, and I'd only had a year pretty much of savings in my account. So then once I moved, it was a situation of, okay, the standard of living is so much higher up here. I'd always heard it before. I'd always heard Dublin's like a very expensive city, but I always thought it was just kind of Ireland overall. And I've been born and raised in Ireland, so I thought, I'll be able to handle it. But even the price of a cup of coffee is like double what you'd pay at home, and it was definitely a culture shock for me moving from my little village to UCD alone, let alone Dublin. So those were kind of my teething problems. And then after about a month after I moved, I started realizing that, okay, there's some immense financial difficulties going on here. I just realized that I was spending like 15-20 euro a week on my groceries. I couldn't afford fresh food. I couldn't afford meat. I was living off Weetabix and bread, which I would freeze and then defrost in the toaster, which wasn't healthy. I was tired. I was lethargic. I couldn't concentrate. And my parents were becoming worried about me because I was coming home, and you could even see it in my face. I was struggling. So once I heard about the scholarship, I decided to apply kind of as nearly a last resort, because I didn't think I was going to make it to Christmas up in Dublin, which was really scary. Oh, absolutely. The scholarship had a huge impact on my time at UCD. The second I got it, I started realizing that I realised how stuck in a rut I was before I had the scholarship. I thought it was normal to be living on, again, 15 euros worth of groceries a week, living in a house infested with mould because it was all that I could afford, and just having to walk home from college because I couldn't afford the bus fare. That was before the young adult leave cards came in, and I just had an ordinary leave card. It was €5 commuting a day, and then I was thinking that's a third of my grocery budget, a quarter of my grocery budget for the week. So when the scholarship came in, I instantly, literally the next day, I went down to the supermarket and I bought fresh fruit for the first time in 2 months, which was amazing. I bought all my favourite things. I got this fruit, it wasn't even I went and I bought loads of chocolate. I just went and I wanted apples and oranges and bananas and pears and plums, and of course my absolute favourite fruits of all time, raspberries, which are super expensive, but I felt like it was such a luxury, and I was able to buy fruit and dried fruit, nuts, seeds to put in my breakfast, so I didn't have to live on Weetabix and bread anymore. I was able to buy fish and carbohydrates and just other forms of proteins. I could afford chickpeas, and I could actually start eating properly because I love to cook, and that was one thing that really impacted me as well, that I didn't have the supplies to cook and look after myself, and I felt it was a bit of a dignity issue, that I just felt like I was living on like I was in prison nearly. I was eating off just scraps, and then I was able to move out of my accommodation, which was a huge thing for me. I put some of the money aside, and I waited until second year when I got my second instalment, and I was able to kind of just up and move and actually move into a decent house, with like there's no mold, there's no rotten, there's all the windows are intact, and it's a safer area as well, which is amazing, and I can like sleep well at night knowing that like I'm warm, I'm safe, which makes such a difference. Absolutely. It's been a crazy 3 years, and I think like there's so many memories that spring to mind. I love the small things in life, so the first thing that spring to mind are just like snow days in UCD, days with my friends, birthdays. It feels like I've kind of joined part of a community here, and so there's so many just events that happen that are great one-off events, society events, even just like cultural events that to be on. But yeah, for me, I think the snow days are hilarious and amazing. Just grown adults just hurling snowballs at each other, making snowmen. And during the last snow day in March, I was on campus at like 7 a.m. and before it even started snowing, and the secretary in Quinn bought a massive package of carrots and just left them on the table, and then by 8 o'clock they were gone. Everyone had just gone out and started making snowmen, and I think, you know, it's nice to heal your inner child and just embrace your inner child, and yeah, that for me is like the first thing that comes to mind. Like I feel like I'll be going to remember that for like the rest of my life. Just small things like that, just being able to laugh and unwind and relax and, you know, skid down the concourse. Amazing. I was very careful to make a budget when I first got the scholarship money, and I've kind of touched on what I put the money towards, but at the time it was mostly groceries and then college expenses. Law books and business books are really expensive, and some of them are just compulsory. There's no way of getting around it. UCD Library don't have them, whether they're ebooks or just physical copies. So in first year, I think I spent like €300 or €400 of the scholarship on just books, which I'd never had to deal with anything like that before. And then groceries, of course, being able to afford strawberries and raspberries was amazing. Like a punnet of raspberries would have been like 2 punnets of raspberries, like 200 grams of raspberries would have been like a third of my budget before. So now I was able to actually invest in like myself. Then I started on a probiotic that's like good for your brain, and I definitely noticed the difference with that. And then I saved as much as I could towards moving out of my bad accommodation, and then it's been helping with my rent, helping subsidise my rent for me, because I mostly live off my savings, so I've been able to, again, not only move house and just deal with all of that, but move in somewhere that's more expensive but just so much more suitable for me. One of the things that actually drew me to UCD was the extracurricular life that's outside of the academics. So once I came to UCD, I decided to join a French society. I have a French side of my family, and I'm really interested in just French culture, and I love croissants and I love the language, so it was a perfect fit for me. And then once they opened their committee applications in like the January, I said, you know what, I'll give it a go. So I joined as weekly events officer. I was just in charge of ordering and buying croissants every week and bringing them to UCD. And it was so nice. I made so many friends that way. And then bippity boppy boo, 2 years later, and I am the auditor of the French Society. So Ireland's biggest language society. Somehow I managed to take it over. I don't know, but yeah, I threw myself into that committee. So I'm not involved with any other committees, but I'm generally involved with the Law Society. I'm just a general member. I go to all their debates. The LNH, I go to their debates, and they always have some class guest speakers. Like they had Tom Felton last year from Harry Potter, and he gave me a high five, and it was like the coolest thing ever. But yeah, I try involve myself with like societies who will not only like foster my entertainment but also towards my career as well. So mostly LawSoc, LNH, the Econ-Fi Society, the Commerce Society. Ones like those, I go to all their guest talks and events that they have, which is really, really useful. Well, I would say to alumni, just thank you for considering it. Thank you for taking the time to even look into the scholarship, and thank you for even thinking about giving back. You're in an amazing position, and students like myself are so thankful. I can only talk for myself, but the financial support does make such a difference. And not only that, but just having the term Carmen Féin scholar, like it kind of gives a recognition that, you know, it's okay for students to struggle, and there is supports there, and you know you're not alone. Like I know there's plenty of scholars, and there's plenty more people in this situation, and even worse situations than I was in. So I would just say, if you have the means, absolutely, it's something that I really want to look into hopefully when I'm a successful person, and I have a successful career. I would love to just give back, because the scholarship has given me such amazing opportunities. Oh gosh, there are like the world is essentially my oyster. My mum always says that to me. I'm torn between both of my career paths, so like business and law. I change my mind essentially every day. As of right now, I'd love to go down the law route and probably become a barrister. I've had the opportunities to work in a solicitor's office, and I just felt like it wasn't for me. An office job necessarily isn't really for me. So that kind of eliminates business to an extent too, but I like the idea of a creative business job, going down the marketing, communications route, getting to travel. I think that would be amazing. But then of course, the barrister route is going to be really, really tough. It's going to take a lot physically, mentally, financially. So to be honest, I have a lot more time to make up my mind, so I'm not too stressed. You know, there's plenty of options out there, but I think that I'm in the right course for the area that I want to go into, which is such a relief. So we'll see. Maybe this time next year I'll have a more concrete answer.